Deep into the night, there was no moon or stars in the sky. Luo Feng's cell was pitch black. Only the road outside the cell had a bit of light. The sound of snoring kept ringing in the cell. Clearly he was fast asleep. Suddenly, on the left upper bunk, Luo Feng, who was resting, suddenly sat up. He crossed his legs so that the soles of his feet were facing upwards. He also placed his hands on his legs so that his palms were facing upwards, and his back was perfectly straight. According to the article I read in the Limit Hall, there's only one genetic energy training method in the world, Wu Xin Xiang Tian. And most people can start genetic energy training once they reach the fitness level of a fighter. Luo Feng took in a deep breath. The article said that the first, sensing, is the hardest. To absorb the energy in the universe, one must first sense this energy. According to the article, this energy was everywhere on Earth, and even in the universe there was this kind of energy. However, most humans can't even sense the existence of this energy. As long as I can sense it, absorbing it will be easy. Normal geniuses can sense it on their first day of training. Fighters with weaker talent will need a year and a half just to sense the energy. Luo Feng adjusted his breathing and then maintained the Wu Xin Xiang Tian position. The 5 hearts here refer to the soles of the feet, the palms of the hands, and the Bai Hui pressure point on the top of the head. Breathe, breathe. Luo Feng's breathing gradually calmed down. He controlled himself and calmed his heart. My body needs to relax and my Wu Xin Xiang Tian will naturally come. My heart needs to be calm like the surface of a lake that's as calm as a mirror. Luo Feng's self-control was pretty good. Slowly he completely calmed down. Even his heart calmed down. Silence. Breathing was already so soft that it couldn't be heard. 1 minute, 2 minutes. 30 minutes, 1 hour. Luo Feng suddenly opened his eyes in the cell. Where is this so-called energy? How come I can't sense it? My heart should have been very, very calm just now. Could it be that, like the article said, geniuses can sense it in a day but the less talented ones need a year and a half to sense it? Let's try again. Luo Feng closed his eyes and once again tried to sense the universe energy described in the article that existed in every corner of the surroundings. Relax. Silence. These were the 2 most important points of the Wu Xin Xiang Tian cultivation method. Still not right. Half an hour later, Luo Feng opened his eyes again. Luo Feng truly realized that the first stage of genetic energy training, sensing, is extremely difficult. Let's try one last time. If we don't succeed, we'll have to wait until tomorrow night. I hope it works. Luo Feng's heart was filled with anticipation. He closed his eyes and once again calmed himself down to feel the energy of the universe. Time passed. 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 50 minutes, 1 hour and 20 minutes. Why haven't you succeeded yet? In his meditation state, Luo Feng's thoughts became slower. Gradually, in this meditative state with his eyes closed, Luo Feng originally had a bit of desire in his heart, a desire to feel the energy of the universe. However, as time passed, Luo Feng was about to fall asleep. After all, even a normal person would fall asleep if they shut their eyes and didn't think about anything for half an hour at night, let alone Luo Feng, who lasted for 3 hours. As he neared sleep, Luo Feng forgot to sense the energy of the universe. So comfortable. Luo Feng, who was almost asleep, could vaguely feel strands of energy flowing through the soles of his feet, the palms of his hands and the Bai Hui point on the top of his head. The energy was flowing into his body at an extremely slow speed. What is this? Luo Feng was still half asleep. It's cosmic energy. Luo Feng abruptly woke up. His eyes widened and the feeling from before completely disappeared. Luo Feng didn't even think that when he was about to fall asleep, he could vaguely feel the energy of the universe. I felt it. That must have been the energy of the universe. Luo Feng was pleasantly surprised. According to the article, once you reach the level of a prospective fighter, most people can train their genetic energy. Even if you don't sense it, your body will absorb it at an extremely slow speed. Luo Feng knew that what he just felt was his body automatically absorbing the energy of the universe. However, the speed at which his body automatically absorbed the energy of the universe was way too slow. That's the feeling. Luo Feng closed his eyes and tried to sense it again. His breathing gradually calmed down and his heart calmed down. Luo Feng's consciousness was pretty much concentrated on the soles of his feet, the palms of his hands and the top of his head. He tried his best to sense the strands of energy that he felt before. In a daze, it seemed like he felt that energy, but it also seemed like he didn't feel it. Slowly the feeling became clearer. That's it. Strands of extremely weak and tiny energy floated around. Only when they got close to the soles of his feet did they seep into his body. The speed was extremely slow. This is the energy of the universe. Luo Feng's consciousness concentrated on the 5 cores, and his consciousness naturally emitted the thought of absorbing the energy of the universe. Naturally, the absorption speed of his feet, palms and head's Bai Hui meridian started to increase, and it instantly increased by nearly 100 times. If the energy of the universe was like a crack in a water pipe at the beginning, it would slowly leak into Luo Feng's body. But now the crack in the pipe has become bigger. It's like a small stream of water that continuously flowed into Luo Feng's body. A shiver that came from the depths of his bones made Luo Feng's body tremble. After the formless and colorless universe energy entered Luo Feng's body, it was crazily devoured by every single cell in his body that had been starving for too long. The universe energy continuously entered through the 5 pathways in the cell. As the cosmic energy entered the cell, it was quickly absorbed by the mitochondria in the cell. At the same time, a strange energy was released. This energy was quickly absorbed by all parts of the cell, and the entire cell itself immediately began to undergo earth-shaking changes. The DNA and genetic blueprints also underwent subtle changes. At the same time, the cell also began to divide into two. Time ticked by. Luo Feng's body was constantly changing. Whether it was the surface of his skin, muscles, bones, or even every single cell, even his genes, they were all changing. This change was the evolution of life, an optimization of life's genes. According to the cultivation method, the human body has never consciously absorbed the energy of the universe since birth. Therefore, he had always been in a state of hunger. The first time he absorbed cosmic energy, he absorbed the most. It was also the first time his strength increased the fastest. Luo Feng felt that his entire body, from the inside to the outside, was undergoing a fundamental change. The entire Earth and even the universe has an endless amount of cosmic energy. The little bit that Luo Feng absorbed right now was completely negligible. However, to Luo Feng himself, this was the most shocking improvement he had ever experienced since he was young. The density of his bones increased, the size of his cells shrunk, one cell divided into two, and his muscles began to optimize. Naturally, Luo Feng's body weight also continued to increase. Life is just that special. In his brain. In the depths of his brain that Luo Feng couldn't detect, as the cosmic energy continuously flowed into his brain. Ever since Luo Feng was born, there have only been 3 tremors in the depths of his brain. Those 3 tremors caused Luo Feng to faint 3 times. And tonight, as a large amount of cosmic energy flowed in, the depths of his brain underwent a change that was different from the previous 3 times. This change was even more subtle. Luo Feng, who was in training, didn't even notice it. Dang, dang, dang. Early in the morning, the sun had just risen. It was only 5 or 6 a.m. when the sound of the prison rang. The prisoners in the cells began to wake up. Luo Feng, who had been sitting cross-legged for a long time, finally opened his eyes and let out a smile. Indeed, ever since I was young, this is the first time I've intentionally absorbed the universe's energy. It took me almost 2 hours before I was full. Luo Feng could feel that the power contained within his body was much stronger than before. Tonight's improvement seems to be even greater than when I fainted during the college entrance examination. Luo Feng had this feeling, one punch should be around 1,500 kilograms right now, maybe even higher. As for how much it has increased, only a detailed test will know. Time for breakfast, time for breakfast. Many of the suspects in the detention center came out of their cells and went to eat. Luo Feng directly jumped off the bed, brushed his teeth, washed his face and prepared to eat breakfast. And at this time, in the hallway outside of Luo Feng's cell, 3 criminals wearing prison uniforms walked past Luo Feng's cell. One of them yelled, "Baldi Huang, I heard a powerful fighter came to your cell and injured 4 elite members of the dojo. Brother Lu, he's very powerful." Within Luo Feng's cell, the bald brute smiled and nodded. "Oh." The 3 prisoners exchanged glances and one of them said quietly, "It can't be wrong. The cell age and strength are all correct. Brother Zhou was talking about him." In the jail. After eating breakfast, the prisoners returned to their cells one by one. In the 3rd cell from the left on the south side of the hallway, the 4 prisoners were all quietly lying on their beds. One of them, a fat man, said quietly, "Big bro, I already talked to Boss Lee and the others during breakfast," and Boss Lee also nodded in agreement. "With 3 of our own fighters plus Boss Lee's 2 great warriors, we have 5 people. Dealing with that guy named Luo Feng shouldn't be a problem. Fatty, I heard that Luo Feng can fight against 4 elite members of the dojo by himself. He'll be hard to deal with," the brute with the black dog tattoo said quietly. "Black dog, Fatty, other than us, Brother Zhou also let Cobra attack. Even if we don't succeed, Cobra will definitely succeed." A one-eyed middle-aged man said quietly. "Cobra?" The fatty and the black dog brute were shocked. "Yeah, coincidentally, Cobra is also locked up in the jail this time," the one-eyed middle-aged man nodded. "With Cobra nothing will go wrong," the fatty said excitedly. Fatty said excitedly, "But big brother, what exactly does this Cobra look like? We haven't seen it before." "As for the specifics, I'll discuss it with Boss Lee during lunch," the one-eyed middle-aged man said quietly. "If nothing goes wrong, we'll make our move during dinner tonight. Remember, bring your weapons." The so-called weapons of these prisoners were actually blades and toothbrush handles that were ground into spikes. Even though the checks in the jail are stricter, they can't compare to the maximum security prison. Even in the maximum security prison, even the most powerful people can send in guns and ammunition. After all, no matter how strict the system is, as long as it's enforced by humans, there will be loopholes. Of course, the people in the jail are all small fries, so they only use sharp weapons, like blades and glass. Evening. Brother Luo. As he walked out of his cell, the prisoners he met in the hallway all obediently greeted Luo Feng. News of Luo Feng injuring 4 elite members of the dojo spread last night. Now almost everyone in the jail knows how vicious this young man is. In the collective cafeteria, it's called a cafeteria, but it's actually a sealed hall. There were dozens of fixed silver long tables in the hall. Everything's fine in the jail, but the food sucks. Luo Feng's genetic energy training was successful last night, so he was in a good mood today. He walked to the counter and received a plastic lunchbox from the detention center supervisor. The lunchbox was filled with food that looked like mud. He lowered his head to take a look. The food inside was gray and muddy and he tasted a little like potatoes. "This is the legendary creature meal." Luo Feng shook his head. It had a good reputation, but even though it was said to be a biological meal, it was actually recognized as the most junk food in society. If one were to eat this kind of biological meal, one person would only need 50 cents a day. One could imagine how low the cost of this biological meal was. A silver hall, a silver dining table, a silver bench, and a silver lunchbox. A large number of people in prison uniforms came over one by one, took their lunchboxes and went to eat. Luo Feng sat beside the long table and lowered his head to eat the food. At this time, a skinny, bespectacled youth also sat beside Luo Feng with a lunchbox. This skinny youth lowered his head and ate 2 mouthfuls before cursing. Even pigs and dogs eat better than this. Quick, you lost. Give me 2 cigarettes. What the hell are you doing? In the entire silver hall, over 100 prisoners were talking to each other. It was a mess. 2 guards stood by the railing with assault rifles in their hands. They lazily glanced inside and started chatting. And the camera in the corner of the silver hall was constantly moving, recording everything that happened in the hall. Peng. A one-eyed brute sat at a long table that was around 3 meters to Luo Feng's right. He glanced at Luo Feng and laughed. You're called Luo Feng? Luo Feng glanced at this one-eyed brute. And you are? My last name is Long, the one-eyed brute smiled. One-eyed dragon. With a low shout, a short fatty sat in front of the one-eyed brute. Beside this short fatty sat 2 steel tower-like brute. The 2 brute coldly stared at the one-eyed brute. The short fatty sneered. Yesterday afternoon when I went out for a walk, it was your people who beat up my brothers, right? Tell me, how do you want to settle this? Get lost. The one-eyed brute rolled his eyes and shouted, Fatty Lee, hurry up and get lost. If you piss me off, don't blame me for being rude. The short fatty's eyes flashed coldly and he sneered, One-eyed dragon, looks like you don't want to talk? Luo Feng, who was eating on the side, lowered his head and ate 2 mouthfuls. He glanced over and couldn't help but feel interested. From his point of view, this was obviously a fight between 2 powerful leaders in the cell. Talk my ass, you want to talk to me? Get lost. The one-eyed dragon rolled his only eye and shouted. Fuck, beat him up. The short fatty's expression was ferocious as he fiercely shouted. Immediately, the 2 steel tower-like brute beside the short fatty moved. One of them lifted the silver table and smashed it towards the one-eyed dragon. The other steel tower-like brute also threw a kick as fast as lightning towards the one-eyed dragon. You dare hit my boss. Brothers attacked. The entire silver hall was in chaos. Peng? One of the prisoners lifted a bench and smashed it against the camera in the corner of the hall. Every time a large-scale fight breaks out in the jail, the first thing they do is smash the camera. The police don't have 100% evidence, so the prisoners can naturally make up stories about the fight. In the silver hall. H. The one-eyed dragon waved his right arm and blocked the steel tower-like brute's kick. However, that kick was extremely heavy, causing the one-eyed dragon to stagger a few steps back until he reached Luo Feng's side. The 2 steel tower-like brute instantly rushed over. And the one-eyed dragon's underlings also rushed over. Luo Feng was actually in the center of the fight. I actually got into a fight. Luo Feng could only stand up. He couldn't be bothered to get involved in these things. At this time, a fatty under the one-eyed brute rushed to Luo Feng's side. A sharp needle made from a long screw suddenly appeared in his hand. The sharp needle directly pierced towards Luo Feng's waist. The one-eyed dragon, who was still staggering, flipped his hand and a plastic blade appeared. He directly pierced towards Luo Feng. Luo Feng suddenly felt a wave of danger. At the same time, he felt a slight pain in his waist as if something sharp pierced into his muscles. However, it was immediately clamped down by his muscles. Luo Feng's entire body was like a leopard cat as he swiftly shot up and jumped over the table in front of him. But at this time... Ha! Ha! The 2 steel tower-like brutes swung their axe-like legs at almost the same time and fiercely chopped towards Luo Feng. You're looking to die. Luo Feng, who instantly understood everything, ferociously roared and ferociously punched towards the 2 thighs. The 2 steel tower-like brutes sneered in their hearts. The explosive power of the legs is much stronger than the strength of the arms, so why would they be afraid of Luo Feng? Heavy crashing sounds followed by the sounds of bones breaking. The 2 ferocious towering brute howled in pain. The 2 of them were actually sent flying by Luo Feng's fists. They fiercely crashed into the tables and stools in the distance, leaving a trail of blood on the ground that made people's hearts tremble. Ayo! The 2 brute painfully held their legs as they rolled on the ground. What? The one-eyed man, the fat man, and the black dog beside him all jumped in fright. At this time. Hum-hum, an ear-piercing sound rang. The police officers in the jail swiftly gathered from their respective resting areas and headed towards the jail cell. Luo Feng touched his waist. Blood completely dyed his clothes red. His heart slightly calmed down. The rumors weren't wrong. Fighters who can train their genetic energy have a punch of 3,000 to 4,000 kilograms. Regular small-caliber bullets can no longer pierce through their muscles. The fatty stab only pierced through the surface of his skin and was stuck by his muscles. So you guys were just acting. Luo Feng's gaze swept across the one-eyed dragon and the short fatty. An ominous glint flashed across his eyes, which made the 2 of them lose their composure. Everyone attack, he's injured, roared the one-eyed dragon. Everyone attacked together. The short fatty also roared. At the same time they also picked up their own stools and threw them over. Since the boss made his move, the lackeys naturally all picked up their stools and rushed over. It was a complete mess. Luo Feng's body moved and became a blur. His 2 legs were like cannonballs, kicking the prisoners one by one into the air. Luo Feng didn't go too hard on the regular lackeys. After all, they were just following the crowd. But Luo Feng wasn't going to go easy on the leader, the one-eyed dragon, and the fatty who stabbed him. Pu. Luo Feng's palm slashed onto the stool and broke it. His arm then smashed onto the one-eyed dragon's arm, sending the one-eyed dragon flying. The one-eyed dragon's arm was even twisted 90 degrees in the opposite direction. People were sent flying one by one. Stools and tables were twisted and broken. Difference. This is the difference between a fighter who trained in genetic energy and a regular criminal. As Luo Feng swept through the group of prisoners, the skinny glasses-wearing youth who was silently watching suddenly waved his hand. Xiao. A cold light flashed across the sky and arrived in front of Luo Feng. This skinny youth is the famous cobra, in the Xian region. His fame came from his throwing knife skills. Ever since the other prisoners started attacking Luo Feng, this cobra youth has been looking for the best opportunity to attack. And now, when Luo Feng was at his peak, he made his move. This throwing knife was very sneaky. When it flew out, it was blocked by a prisoner's body, so Luo Feng didn't even see it coming. Xiao. The throwing knife pierced through the crotch of a prisoner. When Luo Feng saw this throwing knife, it was only 2 meters away from him. Not good. Too late, Luo Feng reacted quickly, but he couldn't dodge in such a short amount of time. The throwing knife didn't go for his vitals, but for Luo Feng's right shoulder. No. Luo Feng stared. For a fighter, the arm that uses a weapon is extremely important. Luo Feng uses a knife, so his right hand is the one that uses it. And once the right shoulder joint is pierced, the bones will split. He won't be able to use his knife technique to fight against monsters for a few months. In other words, once he gets hit, he won't be able to participate in the fighter combat exam on August 1st. He can only wait until February 1st next year. No. Move. With the throwing knife's shocking speed, Luo Feng's mind couldn't even think about the consequences in a short distance of 2 meters. At this critical moment, Luo Feng's entire body tensed up. The strength in his body was pushed to the limit as he stared at the throwing knife. He only had one goal, one belief. Dodge this throwing knife, don't let it hit my shoulder. Pu. The moment the throwing knife was about to hit Luo Feng, it strangely changed its direction. It was originally going to go straight for Luo Feng's shoulder, but it brushed past Luo Feng's shoulder. It only scratched the surface of Luo Feng's shoulder, and fresh blood stained Luo Feng's shirt. Everyone squat, everyone squat. Hurry, squat. At this time, a large number of guards with assault rifles rushed into the hall. The crazed prisoners immediately squatted down. Even the skinny cobra youth squatted down. He looked at Luo Feng in shock. How could this happen? How could my throwing knife miss? Seeing the police rush in, Luo Feng immediately squatted down. How did the flying knife change course just now? Luo Feng, who was squatting down, was very confused. However, at this time, a terrifying headache suddenly appeared without any warning. This intense headache was like a sharp needle continuously drilling into Luo Feng's brain. The pain caused Luo Feng's entire body to twitch uncontrollably and he directly fell to the ground. What happened? You guys come with me. The police, who already had the situation under control, looked at Luo Feng in shock. They saw that Luo Feng's entire body was red and sweat was continuously pouring out of his body. There were even beads of blood seeping out, causing Luo Feng's clothes to quickly be dyed red. His veins popped out like green snakes coiling around Luo Feng, causing him to look unprecedentedly terrifying. Not good, he has already fainted from the pain. Hurry and send him to the medical room. The police were also shocked by Luo Feng's appearance. Even though Luo Feng had already lost consciousness, his body was still completely red. In Luo Feng's brain, waves of mysterious energy continuously surged out of Luo Feng's brain and instantly merged with every part of Luo Feng's body. Under the baptism of this mysterious energy, Luo Feng's bones, organs, blood, muscles, and skin were all undergoing drastic changes. Every single cell was also continuously undergoing changes. This was 100 or even 1,000 times faster than when Luo Feng was training his genetic energy. Logically speaking, his body shouldn't be able to handle such rapid changes and would explode. However, under the fusion of the mysterious energy, Luo Feng's body showed signs of twitching, blood seeping out, bones trembling, etc., but at least his body didn't suffer any internal injuries. Hurry, be careful. Send him to the medical room. The police immediately carried Luo Feng away and sent him to the medical room. The process of this large-scale armed melee was quickly sorted out and summarized. 8 p.m. In a quiet 3-story building in the jail, in the living room on the first floor, a 200-inch screen was hanging on the wall showing a movie. Pause. A middle-aged man wearing a nightgown on the sofa spoke. Suddenly the movie paused. At this time, a knocking sound came from the outside. Come in. The door automatically opened. A man wearing a military uniform walked in and said respectfully, Chief, we've finished investigating this large-scale battle. Zhou Huayang arranged people to deal with this young man named Luo Feng. However, a large group of people were injured by Luo Feng. Some of them were even heavily injured. That kid Zhou Huayang? Relying on his Zhou family's power, he sure is arrogant. The middle-aged man in the nightgown said indifferently. Even though it was Zhou Huayang's arrangement, the person who actually wanted to deal with Luo Feng, according to our guesses, should be the young man named Zhang Haobai. The military officer said respectfully, we looked through Luo Feng's file. Plus, his entry into the jail is also related to Zhang Haobai. There's a high chance that Zhang Haobai asked Zhou Huayang for help. As of now, China has a total of 6 headquarter cities. Because humans are gathered together like never before, the country's control over its citizens has increased. However, Chief, according to our investigation of the battle, the metal chairs and tables that were dented by fists were all made of metal. Our guess is that this Luo Feng's body fitness level has definitely reached the fighter level. The military officer said forcefully. The chairs and tables in the jail are all made of metal. Luo Feng's fists dented the metal tables, and his blade even broke the metal chairs in half. How terrifying is this? Fighter level? The calm middle-aged man suddenly stood up and frowned as he stared at the military officer. Are you sure? 100% sure. Replied the military officer, and I just called the Thunder Dojo and the Limit Hall to check. This Luo Feng just took the prospective fighter exam and passed it. However, it hasn't been recorded in the citizens' information yet. I believe it will be recorded in a few days. Prospective fighter? What's a prospective fighter doing in the jail? The middle-aged man frowned. If he really causes a ruckus, then it'll be troublesome. Fighters, no matter what side of the world they're from, all fighters care about their rights. If a fighter is taken advantage of by the police, then all fighters will be dissatisfied. At that time there will be a lot of trouble. After all, the police system did not have the authority to detain and imprison martial artists. Where's this Luo Feng now? Asked the middle-aged man. This Luo Feng has had a weird headache since he was young. It acted up during his high school exams and it acted up again just now. However, he's already back to normal. He's currently in the infirmary, still unconscious, replied the military officer. The middle-aged man thought for a bit and immediately ordered, immediately send Luo Feng to the nearby military recuperation area and let him rest. When he wakes up, personally apologize to him on my behalf. Tomorrow morning we'll contact the dojo of limits where he's at to clarify this matter. We must make this a small matter and a small matter. After that, send him home. Yes, Chief. The military officer immediately left after receiving the order. Late at night. In the quiet bedroom, Luo Feng's eyes slightly moved and then he opened them. Where am I? Luo Feng woke up and scanned his surroundings. The speck on the railing of the window next to the bedroom was so clear. The sound of the other residents watching TV was so loud that he could even hear the conversations of the people walking on the road at night. No, it's not that the sound is loud. It's that my hearing has improved a lot. Luo Feng got off the bed and stood up. As he walked in the bedroom he looked around. His vision, hearing, and even sense of smell all improved dramatically. Luo Feng's gaze landed on the stool next to him. With a thought, an invisible force instantly controlled the stool. This invisible force couldn't be detected by the naked eye, but Luo Feng could clearly feel that this invisible force instantly extended out from his brain. What kind of power is this? How did I get this kind of power? Luo Feng could only feel his heart beating faster. He felt that this invisible force was like his invisible hand. Oh. In the middle of the night the stool actually started floating. With a thought, Luo Feng looked towards the bed next to him. Suddenly the entire bed started floating. He turned his head towards the TV and suddenly the TV also started floating. Then, 3 chairs, a coffee table, and a wardrobe next to it all floated off the ground. Very quickly. In the entire bedroom, almost everything floated off the ground as if there was no gravity in space. I don't feel any pressure controlling all these things? Luo Feng slowly walked to the balcony. In the middle of the night, it was completely silent. Luo Feng's gaze landed on the railing and with a thought. One of the steel pillars on the guardrail slowly rotated and then forcefully separated from the guardrail. Looking at this steel pillar, under Luo Feng's gaze, the entire front part of the steel pillar started to slowly rotate and twist, becoming sharp and sharp, becoming a steel spike. Everything was floating in midair, controlled by that invisible force. Go! With a thought from Luo Feng. This steel spike was as fast as lightning as it shot towards a fake mountain in the small sector below. Under its shocking speed, the steel spike instantly pierced through the huge rock on the fake mountain. After piercing through the huge rock, the steel spike returned and continued piercing through the huge rock. Whoosh. The steel spike turned into countless illusions as it crazily pierced through the fake mountain. As if it was being pierced by a large amount of armor-piercing bullets, the entire fake mountain quickly turned into a sieve. Ping! Suddenly, a low explosion occurred. The fake mountain that was 2 to 3 meters tall completely exploded into countless shattered rocks, and the steel spike that Luo Feng was controlling also completely exploded into powder. Who was it? Woo-woo woo-woo, the entire military recuperation area immediately started ringing. Spotlights lit up one after another and quite a few guards rushed over with guns in their hands. Luo Feng, on the other hand, shrunk his neck and immediately slipped into his room to lie on his bed. He was extremely shocked. That huge rock that's 1 to 2 meters thick was instantly pierced through. The power of my steel spike is comparable to an armor-piercing bullet from a heavy sniper rifle. And this is because the steel spike isn't sturdy enough and sharp enough. In the end, the steel spike was completely shattered into powder. I pierced through over 100 times in an instant, so doesn't that mean that over 100 armor-piercing bullets were instantly shot over? Luo Feng took in a deep breath. This just what is going on? Such a mysterious and terrifying power awakened in this normal military recuperation area. In the quiet bedroom, the lights weren't turned on. In the darkness, Luo Feng sat on a small sofa to the side. He couldn't calm down. This strength is too strong. A normal police small caliber pistol would probably only be able to make a small hole in that fake mountain. And the steel spike I controlled easily pierced through the entire fake mountain. Its power is tens of times stronger than before. The war between humans and monsters has lasted for tens of years. The reason why humans haven't won is because the monsters are too strong. There are strong monsters and weak monsters. Even the weakest monster would be able to ignore those small caliber pistols. Don't even mention monsters, even the weakest human fighter can block a small caliber handgun's bullet with their muscles. Powerful monsters could ignore firearms. Only heavy sniper rifles, large caliber heavy machine guns, anti-aircraft machine guns, and even machine cannons could pose a threat to monsters. Of course, some peak-level monsters like the black-crowned eagle can't even shatter a feather after being bombarded by a 20mm Vulcan cannon. That's truly scary. I can actually control objects from a distance. Could this be? Luo Feng's heart skipped a beat. Could this be a spirit reader's spiritual force? Luo Feng doesn't know much about spirit readers. However, he still knows some basic information. Spirit readers are usually powerful fighters who also train their genetic energy. However, spirit readers, on the basis of genetic energy training, also trained in a second type of energy, spirit reader ability. This telekinesis was also known as telekinesis. However, whether or not it's spiritual force, I'll have to do some research in the future to confirm, thought Luo Feng to himself. Ever since he was young, he's only seen one spirit reader. That's the mysterious black-robed silver-haired man that Yangzhou City's Dojo of Limit's chief instructor, Wu Tong, called Captain. The piercing power of the steel spike is strong, but monsters like the black-crowned eagle can ignore firearms. Only laser cannons and nuclear weapons can threaten them. Luo Feng was clear that even though his current strength is shocking, there are many existences that are 10 times, 100 times, or even 1,000 times stronger than him. For example, the powerful fighter that killed the black-crowned eagle on the internet. His body can move faster than the speed of sound. He can split the black-crowned eagle in half with one blade. He can destroy a 6-story residential building with one kick. This was a peerless expert among martial artists. As for the world's strongest Hong, the world's second strongest god of thunder, and so on, they can make the 5 great countries talk to them as equals. Luo Feng took a deep breath. To be able to let a country and an individual speak on equal terms, one could only imagine how shocking the power of such a warrior was. Even if I control the steel spike right now, I probably won't even be able to touch his body, Luo Feng reminded himself. Even though he was very strong, there were still many strong people. Although this was a reminder. However, those absolute warriors were too far away from Luo Feng. With Luo Feng's current strength, he could definitely let his parents and brother live a good life. Work hard. I'm still young, maybe in the future I'll be able to step into the circle of the world's top fighters. Luo Feng was filled with anticipation. In this quiet bedroom, Luo Feng awakened his ability, and at the same time he was so excited that he couldn't sleep. Forget it. I'm too excited today. I'm afraid it'll be hard for me to sleep. Let's just focus on genetic energy training. Luo Feng sat cross-legged on the bed with his palms facing the sky position. He closed his eyes and started training. Because of his first experience and the fact that he already had genetic energy in his body, so he could easily sense the existence of the universe energy. The universe energy flowed into his body through the soles of his feet, palms, and the Bai Hui point on the top of his head. The speed at which I'm absorbing the universe energy seems to be a bit faster today. The universe energy flowed through the 5 channels into Luo Feng's body. Every single cell in his body was crazily swallowing this mysterious universe energy. After the cells, mitochondria, the universe energy was converted into genetic energy. Itchem? My head. Luo Feng felt that quite a bit of the universe energy flowed into his brain and gathered in his mind. Boom. As if his entire soul was trembling, Luo Feng shockingly discovered that his consciousness was in a mysterious place. This mysterious place was boundless and had an endless amount of fog surrounding it. In the middle of this fog was a dark golden ball. This dark golden ball was like a star that slowly rotated. At the same time, it emitted waves of fog, causing the fog in this mysterious place to constantly increase. This fog. Is it spiritual force? Luo Feng easily felt the power of this fog. It was the spiritual force that he used to control objects. And Luo Feng could clearly see that threads of transparent energy were continuously seeping into this mysterious place from the outside world. Then they were quickly assimilated into the fog. Luo Feng's consciousness also felt that this transparent energy was universe energy. The fog is spiritual force, and the transparent energy is universe energy. The universe energy is absorbed here and converted into spiritual force. And my spiritual force extends out from my brain. Luo Feng's heart jumped. This is my brain? Or is this my realm of consciousness? The Sea of Consciousness was a special name for the mind of a martial artist. Why is there a dark golden ball in the center of my realm of consciousness? Luo Feng's consciousness observed curiously. This slowly rotating dark golden ball continuously emitted waves of fog, spiritual force. As it emitted waves of spiritual force, Luo Feng felt that his realm of consciousness was very comfortable. I've fainted a few times since I was young, and it's probably because of this dark golden ball. Luo Feng had a feeling. Dark golden ball releasing spiritual force? And in the past I didn't have any spiritual force. I only had it this time after I fainted. Luo Feng thought, then this dark golden ball probably released a large amount of spiritual force while I fainted this time. Not only did it give me a powerful spiritual force, but it also changed my body. His body fitness level is strong, but compared to spiritual force, it's far from enough. Oh right. When the group of prisoners attacked me before, one of them released a throwing knife. When the throwing knife was about to pierce through my shoulder, it suddenly changed direction. It should be because of my spiritual force. Luo Feng was able to easily deduce the truth based on the situation. Indeed, the dark golden ball did release a large amount of spiritual force while he fainted this time. But in reality, on the night of Luo Feng's first day in the prison, when he started his genetic energy training and absorbed universe energy, it already caused a change in his realm of consciousness. Even if the throwing knife didn't cause the dark golden ball to release a large amount of spiritual force in advance, with the passage of time he would naturally possess psychic power. The sneak attack by the throwing knife only caused Luo Feng to awaken earlier. When I fainted in the past, it was most likely because of this dark golden ball. But now, the dark golden ball is continuously releasing spiritual force, so it shouldn't make me faint anymore, Luo Feng felt. Just like a dam blocking a flood, the dark golden ball was unable to release spiritual force in the past. That's why Luo Feng had headaches every day. Now that he has a channel to release his spiritual force, he should be fine. The next morning, when Luo Feng left his bedroom and went downstairs, he saw a person sitting in the living room. Mr. Luo Feng, good morning. The man in military uniform stood up and smiled. Hello, Luo Feng was confused. Where is this place and why am I here? Also, I don't think I've seen you before. The military officer smiled. Let me introduce myself. I am Xian Region Jail's Dongan. And this is my Xian Region's military recuperation area. Mr. Luo Feng. I can't believe you've already passed the prospective fighter exam. Our jail naturally doesn't have the right to lock you up, Mr. Luo Feng, so you have the right to go home. Go home now. Luo Feng nodded. Luo Feng didn't find it strange that Luo Feng beat up so many prisoners yesterday, especially when his fists and feet hit the metal tables and stools. I want to ask, just who wants to harm me? Luo Feng frowned. The military officer slightly hesitated. If your jail can't answer, I'll go through the dojo of limits and apply to Jiangnan City Security Bureau to investigate everything, said Luo Feng. Once this gets out, people will know that a prospective fighter was surrounded and attacked in the jail, and that the jail actually protected the criminal. The higher-ups of the jail will definitely be in trouble. The military officer laughed. Mr. Luo Feng, don't worry. This is what happened. According to our investigation, a local gangster named Zhou Huayang arranged for these prisoners to attack you. According to our investigation, they were preparing to break one of your legs and one of your arms. Oh. Luo Feng frowned. Break one of my arms and one of my legs? How cruel, do they want to cripple me? I don't know this Zhou Huayang. Who told him to do it? The military officer replied. We've already interrogated Zhou Huayang. It was a young man named Zhang Haobai who asked for his help. Zhang Haobai. Luo Feng's gaze turned cold. How reckless. He really doesn't know the meaning of death. The military officer smiled. Luo Feng, you can choose to apply to Jiangnan City Security Bureau to arrest Zhang Haobai. He ordered people to harm a prospective fighter, which is a heavy crime. It's normal for him to be sentenced to 20 years in prison. Don't blame me for speaking out of turn. This Zhang Haobai's uncle is also a fighter, said the military officer. Luo Feng, you can ignore his uncle and apply to the Security Bureau to arrest Zhang Haobai. The Security Bureau is in charge of fighters, so they have a lot of power. Uncle Zhang Haobai can't affect the Security Bureau's work. Even if it means offending his uncle, you still have to deal with Zhang Haobai. Let him mediate in private and have the Zhang family pay. Luo Feng, you can decide everything. The military officer smiled. I've already conveyed my message. Mr. Luo Feng, your cell phone and other items are all here. Luo Feng nodded. Mediate in private and have the other party pay a large amount of money? Or do you have to deal with Zhang Haobai? Hello, Dad. Luo Feng picked up his cell phone and made a call. I've already left the jail. I'll be home soon and have breakfast. Don't worry, Dad, your son is very strong now. How could anything happen to him? Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and turn on the notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming great videos.